Okay. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. Hi, guys. I am Carrie Ann Todd from carrieanntodd.com, and I have Denise Sultenfuss with me. I'm so excited. So, real quick, let me tell you why I wanted to do this. First, when you guys see this video, it's going to be accompanied by the full interview of questions that I asked Denise about homeschooling. My heart behind doing this, honestly, is that I know that there are a lot of people who find themselves either going into the homeschool year and the end of last year was not how we all envisioned it, or you're going into the next school year very reluctantly, maybe dipping your toe into homeschooling, and you just really don't know what to expect. And I just honestly wanted to give you the opportunity to hear from some seasoned homeschool moms and dads, hopefully, that get it, that have been there and can offer some encouragement. So when I started dreaming about this and thinking about this, Denise was one of the first people that I thought of, because I've known Denise now for, I think, 6 years, Denise. I think
yeah. It's 6 at least.
He was like a baby. He was like an infant.
Yeah.
And I just honestly, I text Denise about all kinds of different things, from gluten-free stuff to homeschool stuff to, I think we've had conversations about beef, because Denise's family, they're a farming family, and so I just really trust her on a lot of levels. But I just wanted to give her an opportunity to talk to you guys about homeschooling and just to really encourage you. So like I said, you'll find the full interview on my blog, but we're just going to dive into a couple of those questions. I tend to be a visual learner and an auditory learner, so I like to hear things also. So I thought it would be cool to just give Denise a chance to actually speak out some of her questions. So does that sound good, Denise?
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yay. Okay. Do you want to real quickly give a brief bio about
Sure.
Homeschooling and
yeah. So I started homeschooling about 22 years ago, and I really did a lot of research about it. So 22 years ago, there wasn't a lot of resources available on homeschooling, but I attended a couple of conferences, so I was somewhat prepared, and I had just resigned as a public school classroom teacher. I taught English and special education. So anyway, so I launched our homeschool classroom when our daughter was probably 4 years old. And I've been doing it ever since. I'm not talented enough to balance homeschooling and a job. There are women who are far more capable of doing that than I am. I was not. So I just recently entered back into the workforce, because now we're down to homeschooling. I'm at the end of my homeschooling journey. So it's been a beautiful 22 years. I could probably talk for hours about homeschooling. So yeah, so that's
how many kids have you homeschooled, Denise?
So of our 6, I homeschooled 4. Yeah, homeschooled 4, all the way from kindergarten through high school, and 3 of our 4 kids have gone to college. So it's possible to do high school and get them into college, which I have a lot to say about that, because we've walked through the whole college thing 3 times now, and it's colleges really, really are excited about homeschool students.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. So 22 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's a long time to homeschool.
I know. This hair should be completely gray, but thank goodness for hair color. It's it's a long time. 2 decades. When you look at it like that, almost a quarter of a century I've been homeschooling.
Yeah. So Denny and I just celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary. So you have been homeschooling longer than I've been married.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I just need to interject this.
Yeah.
Now, people are probably going to wonder, well, why is she still homeschooling? Well, it's because I am a midlife mother. I had my last child at 42 years old.
Yes.
So that's probably going to make more sense.
Yes. Super important.
Yeah.
That's that's important detail. Yes, definitely. Okay. So in that 22 years, how has your homeschooling changed?
I would say that I've learned not to chase after like homeschooling empires. So when you start homeschooling and you attend conferences, you read books, and you can easily get caught up in, well, this is working for this particular family or this group of people. And you have to realize that, well, it might be working for them, but it might not be the perfect fit for my family. And so I've learned to stop chasing what I call homeschool empires. They look really good, they look really strong, and they have a lot of great qualities about them. But that particular methodology or curriculum or whatever's popular at the time may not be the right fit for my family. And so I have to be able to adjust whatever according to what's going to work for us, for our particular family and the season that our family is in.
Yeah, totally. So you're not necessarily saying that type of homeschooling is wrong. You're saying it's wrong for you, like it's not right for your family at that time.
Right. Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in what is trendy in the homeschool arena, what is, popular. And then you have to say, well, they might have bits and pieces that are good, but the whole picture might not be what works for our family. And so you sort of have to tailor your homeschool life according to what fits your children.
Yeah.
And I had 2 children that had learning challenges. So I had to always take that into consideration.
Yeah. So true. I know I've had some friends who want to start homeschooling from like the very beginning. And because we come from this mindset of the public school system, or the traditional education system, it treats every kid the same. So a lot of times people come to homeschooling thinking, well, just what's the way?
Right.
What is the one thing?
Yeah.
And the first thing I tell them, I was like, you have to know your kid. Like that's literally your first job as a homeschool parent, is to figure out what is going to work for your kid.
Right.
And what works this year might not work 3 years from now.
That is so true. And I always say, whenever I talk to a fledgling, and I mean that with the greatest respect, like a new homeschool parent, I always say, there is no perfect formula. We like to think there is, or we want that perfect formula, the perfect formula that our kids will be obedient and they'll be well-read and, soar in great heights with math but there just isn't, there just isn't a perfect formula out there.
No, there's not one size fits all. Anything.
No.
Okay. Okay. So how, because honestly, I think this is one of the most surprising things to me. I thought when I started homeschooling that I was doing something for my kids, like it was about them. And I am very surprised at how homeschooling has changed me. And how it's changed lots of things about, about me. So how would you say, do you agree with that it's changed you? And then how would you say it has changed you?
I would definitely agree that it changes you in profound ways. deep, profound ways. You're around your kids all the time. And I think I mentioned earlier to you that I call homeschooling, it's the great paradox. It's the most beautiful, difficult thing you're going to do. One of the most beautiful, difficult things you're going to do in your entire life. And it, after 22 years, I still say at the end of the year, it's the most beautiful, difficult thing. And it's changed me in the way that I have learned to be sacrificial in my time. And that is not a natural bent for me. So it took me years to be twisted and molded and, definitely in the potter's hand for sure. The first couple of years, just understanding what sacrificial really means and being content with that, being content living on one income, those types of things, being content with having just a handful of minutes to myself a day.
Yeah.
And then being content with, going to bed at 10 o'clock at night and being exhausted, and not really having a break. And there are, that ebb and flows, Carrie, it's not going to be like that all the time, but it really does. It deepens you as far as like, it really molds your character. And so I would say sacrificial time, being sacrificial is probably the most profound character trait that I learned in 22 years. Yeah.
It's not an easy character.
It's very painful. It can be very painful. Very painful. Yes. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Especially when you have a lot of friends that aren't homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And you might look longingly at the time that they have, and you might start coveting that time. And so then you have to pull back and realize that, for your family, homeschooling is a lifestyle. It's what your family does. And so, again, it just goes back to sacrificial, being, time. So I would say that's probably the greatest lesson I've learned. And the most painful.
Yeah. So this is kind of a like off the cuff question. I didn't tell you about this one beforehand, but I'm just thinking about it because, so your last child, is getting ready to go in what grade? Like, what would she be this year?
8th grade.
She'd be 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're staring down the barrel of like almost being done.
I know.
In like, 4 or 5 years. Like how does that feel? Like after 22 years? Like
Yeah. Well, I'll be 60 when I finish. I'll be 60 years old when I finish homeschooling. And how does that feel? It's celebratory.
Yeah.
It's 2 decades of consistently unwavering homeschooling, because for us, homeschooling was a calling. It was never really an educational choice. And for some families, it's a choice. And so I think after 25 years, I should throw a party.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I think you should. I mean,
I know.
Even if you really think about that, in today's world, not a lot of people stick with jobs for that long. And this this is a job like that you never got, you got no money for, like it has been your life mission that's a long time. That's a long time.
It is. And what I should have done is paid myself a stipend each as retirement.
Yes.
$100 a month or something. But yeah. So I'm really, and you know what? I'm not going to retire. I will continue to help homeschool families. I'm going to, definitely elevate my time in my writing and my website. So I have lots. I'm still going to stay busy, but that part of my life will be on the shelf. And I'll have a trophy for myself over there. Yeah.
A big trophy.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have grandkids that you can help.
Yes, that's already started. Yeah, that has already
help
started.
the kids
Mm-hmm.
start to go down that path
Yeah.
too if you decide to do that. So
Yeah.
so cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing with us. Can you talk about real quick your event coming up in a couple of
Sure.
weeks? And I will link to that on the blog and obviously like share on my Facebook and stuff too. So people know about that. But talk a little bit about this event that you're doing.
Sure. So my two older daughters really kept nudging me to do this because I was kind of resistant about doing it. But my older daughters basically, pushed me in a corner and said, you really have to do this, because a lot of their friends were coming to them knowing that their mom had homeschooled. And so they asked me if I would host an event on my Facebook page, my business Facebook page. And they really wanted me to talk about the myths of homeschooling. And they wanted me to, the myths and the real and the raw about homeschooling, that when people decide, if they decide that the pandemic education this year, what some people have been offered isn't something that they want for their family, and they decide to homeschool, my daughters really wanted me to equip people about what are the myths and the truths. And so I decided I'm going to do the top 5 myths and the top 5 truths about homeschooling. So, and that's this Thursday at 7:30. This Thursday, July 30th, from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Facebook page.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I also provide handouts. There's going to be a lot of questions. And so I provide some event handouts that you can receive. And one of them, and I encourage people, one of them is a question page, and to really thoughtfully write down a couple of questions. People have so many questions about homeschooling because, like you said before, when we first started, it's surprising for people to actually even consider it. Some people never considered homeschooling.
Yeah. And now a lot of people are like, it's right here.
Yes.
For them,
Yeah.
Because I know so many people who their kids ended last school year, and they're seeing the stuff that their kids are bringing home, and they just really are not happy, with what their kids were having to do. And I know last year was a train wreck for a lot of people. No teacher was expecting, for the school year to end like that. So I'm not, I'm definitely not trying to put any blame on that or anything, but I do know that a lot of families are kind of in this position where they're like, if my kids aren't going back to school anyway, and it's going to be some sort of virtual thing,
right?
Why not just homeschool them where we get to pick together and decide what we're going to learn instead of somebody saying, here's what you're going to learn.
Right.
So a lot of people do have questions about, how do you go about doing that? What does that look like? So
right.
So
yeah, so it's basically going to be a conversation. We're going to have a conversation about, the good, the bad, and the ugly about homeschooling. But I feel like I needed to dispel a couple of myths first.
Yeah.
And then we'll move into the real and the raw of it. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. So
well, thanks.
Denise, thank you so much. I am going to put all of Denise's links at the bottom of the blog post and on my Facebook page, and just share a ton about how you can keep up with her. She's on Instagram and Facebook, and also over at her own blog, which is DeniseSultenfuss.com. So thank you again.
Thank you. I really appreciated the offer. It was great, great being here. Okay, take care.
Actually come and see you sometime soon. So, coffee or something. So,
okay,
we will catch up soon in real life. So,
well, our daughters stay in touch.
Seriously, I know. I know. They're always there. I always run into Olivia's room and they're chatting away, which I love.
I know.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.